Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Spectral from Bitewing Games. Spectral, designed by Ryan Courtney, is a 2 to 4 player deduction area control game. This is a game where you are trying to piece out where the various gems and curses are on this board. I should note before we dive into further that I am currently playing with the deluxe version of the game. There's a smaller version of the game that gives you the main components. The deluxe comes in a bigger box, gives you some nicer little these things over here, the playmats you see in front of you. So some of the components over here are deluxeified. Just keep that in mind when you go ahead and try to find any copy of this game. But with that said, like I said already, this is a deduction area control game. You are first trying to deduce where the good cards and bad cards are, because you want to play an area control game of trying to have the most investigators next to those cards, but if you're next to the wrong cards, well, you're not going to get very much. Basically, the general idea of this game is you have 16 cards, and I'll teach you the basic game first. I'll talk briefly about the expansion cards, or the modular cards, that's part of the base game, they're advanced mode cards, but you have 16 cards in play. Each of those cards, from those 16, 12 of those cards are going to point to gems. That's going to be these little gems over here that are going to go onto these spots on the cards, depending on where those gems point to. So you'll have these different gems going onto the board based on the other cards pointing to them, which we'll explain more soon, but each card effectively points to one spot where a gem might be. 4 of those cards point to a spot where a curse might be. Now the problem with that is sometimes you'll have gems and curses on the same spots, which puts a little bit of a puzzle in play, because curses you won't be able to get anything from. In fact, curses are going to remove investigators from around those cards at the end of the game. You're going to be looking at every single card, resolving all the cards, whatever you've seen and not seen, and then seeing who has the most investigators next to each gem and curse. Having the most investigators next to gems means you will get the points for those gems. Having the most investigators next to curses, or having any investigators next to curses, means those investigators are removed. So you have to play this deduction game of figuring out what the state of the board looks like so that you can reliably place your people in a way where they'll pay off and get you points, as opposed to where they'll be removed from the game, not getting you anything. That's the general idea. To do that, every single round, what you're going to do is you're going to pick one card to look at. So you're going to go ahead and look at the board. You're going to go ahead and pick a card to look at. You'll put your investigators down. You can put any number of investigators down, but the general rule is you must place at least the number of investigators equal to twice whatever was there before. So if somebody else has 2 investigators, I have to kick them out by placing 4. So you can boot other people out, sending them back to their owners, but you have to place double the number there, which is gets more and more costly as the game progresses. The game also scales around player count through the use of these walls, which act as blockers that count as 2 investigators, forcing other players to place a lot more to go there. I'll start off early with an easy gambit, and we'll start showing you how this actual deduction system works. I'm going to look at this card over here, which, funnily enough, is one of the 4 curses in the game. Now, the way these cards work over here is each card has a rule set of how it operates. This card says that the next card 2 away clockwise is going to be a curse, meaning I know that 1, 2 is going to be a curse over here. If this were on an outer level, it would count clockwise around the outer edge. If it's on an inner level, it counts clockwise around the inner edge, which is great because I have a lot of information now. I can go ahead to my book over here. Each player is going to have their own book for their color, and I can go ahead and mark that. Let's go ahead and use to a non-use page over here. I can go ahead and mark that, this particular gem, this is row C, and one of the rules in the game is that since I know this is a C card, all of these are going to be C cards. Each row has one of the negative cards, one of the curse cards. So over here, I know that row C has been checked off. I know the rest of these are row C, and I know that there's going to be a curse on this spot over here. So I want to avoid placing around this spot. I want to avoid this. Now I'm tracking this on my own board because this is all hidden information. I'm revealing it to you just because, it's just you and me here. But in general in the game, you would look, you would mark some notes, and then you would keep playing. Somebody else will go ahead and go. Maybe they go over here, and they go ahead and look at this card over here. They look at it. I won't look at it. And that's it. That's all I know. They make some marks. They do some stuff. That information will come in handy later as I see what they do seem to be going towards and or avoiding. Because I know that there's a chance that there's a curse in this row. There's less of a chance of a curse being in this row. Again, they don't know that yet. But over here, they might now have information about what to avoid. Because I know this is a curse, I want to avoid that, I think I'm going to go ahead and I will go down over here. I'm going to go next to this card because I think there's a slightly better chance of not being a curse over here. I'm going to reveal this one, and we have, oh, look at this. So over here, we have a diamond. Now in each row, the way this works is in each row is going to have one of the 4 types. It happens to be, just coincidentally, you're only seeing one of the types right now, but there's 4 types of cards in terms of the way they point to different things. But right now, I know that there's going to be a diamond here. There's a decent chance that it's a safe place to go, but again, we'll see. We'll go ahead and we'll see this person go. they go ahead and click on that or look at that or whatever. Now keep in mind, your area control is going to be relevant to everything around you, so even though I don't know what this is, it might still be helpful. And keep in mind, this is not a bad card, or at least it's not a bad card yet. Other things might make it a bad card, but this points to a bad card, versus other cards might point to a gem being there. I'll go ahead and continue my little puzzle of searching for things. This time around, I'm going to go, I don't want to go here because I know there's a curse right here, and that means these spots are just not great. So going here is not great. I think I'll go over here, trying to outpace him over here for whatever he's fighting for there, and look at this card, which is going to be a gem reflected on the other side, meaning what this card over here is telling me is that if I look on the reflection across this little line here, you'll have two markers showing you the line, then I can see that this is a gem. So I currently know that this is a gem and this is a gem, which means I probably want to get someone down here at some point. I probably want to get someone up here at some point, but right now it's Blue's turn. Blue's actually going to go ahead to the middle over here. They're going to put their 4 there, which sucks for them because this is actually a curse, but they're going to go ahead and look at this. I don't really know what's going on yet. I still don't. I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of the fact that I know there's a gem over here, and I'm going to try to look at a card in the top row over here. Although we know that one of these is going to be one of the negative cards, which does give us some room for information. The problem is I don't want to go here because even if this is telling me where the curse is, I'll remove those agents. So I'm kind of avoiding this right now. I might go here, which would inherently tell me what this is. That's the nice part. So you know what? Because I know that this is a good card, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put down 2 over here. Then I'm going to look at this card. Now this is either going to tell me where another one of the curses is. Let's find out. It does. But it also tells me what card this is, and I'll explain that in a second. Because again, if I know 3 of the cards in row B, and I know that the whole thing is row B, that tells me what the 4th card in row B is. So you're trying to use that, not just information you see, but the information you can infer automatically. In this case though, the way this card operates is it tells you the card in the reverse quadrant. So in other words, if this card's here, you look inside its own quadrant, and it tells you that this card on the other side is a gem, which gives me a strong incentive to go here because I know this is a gem and this is a gem. I might place a 4 here, although I need to be tricky about giving away too much information. Placing a 4 here with no reason could tell the other player's information on its own. But right now, I know that this is going to be I know this is a gem. I said I know it's a gem, but I'm wrong. I know this is going to be a curse. So all the way around. I know this is going to be a curse. I need to be mindful of that. So we have a curse over here, and I also know the other type of card. This is going to be a B double triangle, meaning, I'll show it to you right now, we have the double triangle edge over here, and this is telling me that this is a gem. The way it works is every one of these cards, wherever it goes on the board, will only ever have one spot it can point to. If I point it this way, double triangle's off the board, it's off the board, it's off the board. This is the only possible spot, which means I know this is a gem, so I'm incentivized to boot him out over there. We're going to go ahead and continue. We'll have Blue going ahead. They'll go ahead and place a person down here. They'll look at a card, no problem. Now, I know that this spot I already have control of right now. This spot they have control of. I could boot them out. I don't know if I want to give them that much information, at least not yet. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and look at one card. This way I'm not even being a threat right now. I'm trying to play it cool, not being too threatening. I'm going to look at this card and I'll see, oh, we have another one reflected over here, which is tricky because now I know this is a double gem card. Now it's possible this is still a curse. Keep that in mind. It is possible this is a curse. We know what 2 of the curses are. This row's curse almost inherently. So if we look at the row over here, the curse in this row reflects to the other side, which means either this, or this is currently a curse. We know one of these 4 is going to be a curse. We also know this is a gem, so we need to be careful of that. Where is this? Because I can reveal this showing you this. So we know that this is a gem, but it could be one of the 4 curses on this row. So we need to be careful based on where this card is. The one on this row is going to double triangle point to things. So again, because we know that the top row, do we actually know? We know this is row A. Yeah, this is row A. This is row D. I think we know that. Yeah, okay. It looks like we had A, C, B, D. So that means there's going to be a curse on one of these 4, and there's going to be a curse on one of these 4. Because the curse card in this row, each curse is unique. The curse card in row A is the double triangle, which means it's either here, 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 or here. So it could be any of these, which is tricky. The good news is it means that we do know that this spot is going to be a double gem and definitely not a curse. That is a good spot to double down on. The tricky part is how to do so without avoiding broadcasting our intent and our moves. So to that end, we're going to have Blue go ahead and go. Keep in mind, it is always easier when you're playing against a fictional opponent. Blue's going to go here, lock in a card. We think they know something good over there because we see that they've locked in a lot of strength there. So we might want to compete there, but right now I'm not going to fight them on the game that they might be going for, especially because they're just doing things randomly in this case. But I am going to go ahead and go over here. But what I will do is I'll try to kind of obfuscate what I'm doing and why. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 4 to knock this out. The reason I'm doing that is if I just placed a 4 here for no reason, then it tells them that something's good here, or at least I'm trying to. Whereas if I go here, the only way to go in these areas is to do that, and maybe they'll think I'm competing with them here. Maybe they think I have information about them there, which I don't, which is the good thing, but again, this entire row is safe from curses. Right now we know that the curses are going to be here. The curse is going to be here. Oh, we know this is a curse. I'm not the entire row, I lied, but we know this is safe from a curse. The curse is here and here, and then another one here, and another one here. So we have some degree of knowledge around the curses. I went here. I think I will actually look. Do I want to look at this one? Because I know this points at here. I don't know if I care what this is. This might illustrate that way. If this is going to be row D, it could reflect a curse. It could put a gem over here. It could put a gem over here, or a gem over here. I think I want to know about this gem because I might be booting you out. So I will go ahead and look at this. And this is going to be putting a gem over here. Okay, so we know clockwise is putting a gem over here, and that's kind of information. And that's hopefully enough of an idea to kind of tell you how it works out. Now, what I will do right now is I will just go ahead and put down a few things quickly. I will pretend I booted this guy out over here because I definitely want to get there. We'll pretend that they booted me out over here. Not a problem. I can't go here to, oh, this is tricky. You see, I can't go here because of the fact that I know that it'll be removed. So I'm just going to hope they go there. I'm going to go ahead and go down over here. We'll have them go ahead and place one down here so they get control. Now, I know this can be removed. And then let's go ahead and just pretend that we passed because these are actually worth points, a variable number of points depending on the player count for each of these that are left over. So let's go ahead and reveal things and just show you how the game would play out, because honestly, this game's quick enough to show you. We're going to put a gem 2 clockwise over here. We're going to go ahead and put a curse down over here. We're going to put a gem reflected across over here. We're going to go ahead and put a gem in the opposite corner over here. We're going to go ahead and put a gem over here, too away. Oh my gosh, this card is a banger. Unfortunately, we're sharing it. We are sharing it. That card's insane. We're gonna have this one putting a gem over here. We're gonna have this one putting a gem 2 clockwise, so over here, which won't. Sorry, I lied. It's a curse. It's gonna be over here. We're gonna have this one putting a gem on the opposite side, so reflected across the line of the meridian or whatnot. This one's gonna put a gem over here. This one's gonna put a gem, I think this was a gem, yep, a gem up here. We're going to go ahead and have this one putting a curse down here. So we now know 3 of our 4 curses. We don't yet know the last one. We are going to have this one putting a gem over here, which again is going to be fun to see. We'll show you how that plays out. We're going to have this one putting a curse across the opposite line. Unfortunately, it's going to be a little crazy. This one puts a gem clockwise, 2 clockwise over here. This one is going to, we don't even know what this does yet. This is going to put a gem, another gem. The amount of gem toss-ups here, we have another gem being put across this line. And then finally, we have this one, which we could infer, but we're just going to look, is going to put a gem over here. And now, around each curse, we're going to remove all investigators, and they do not go back to your supply, meaning they do not score points. This one is going to remove for blue. That's hard for them. These are both going to get removed for us. And then, we're going to go ahead and score. Over here, we have no one. Over here, blue, let's go row by row. This is going to go to yellow. This is going to go to yellow. No one. Blue. Yellow. No one. Nothing. These are all gone. Inherently, that happens. Over here, nothing. Nothing. This is going to go to yellow, I guess. We're going to have the yellow. So yellow does look like they're getting a nice sweep over here. And these are going to be evenly divided, which is why you have these to break apart. So we're going to take a 6 and a 12, a 6 and a 12, and put them on both camps. And that does mean that yellow took the queen sweep, which does make sense, because I was playing with information, and blue is a fictional player. That's basically how you play through Spectral. Now, the advanced mode is going to give you some advanced cards, some different rules to them, different things that these cards do as far as moving around gems, or giving you other rules as far as how they operate, small little symbols in the middle. There's 2 ways to play with them. You can either go ahead and substitute an entire set of them in, or you can substitute one of each type, but this gives you 3 new special cards to integrate to the game, and there's also a mini expansion. But with that, let's go ahead and dive into the review, starting off with ease of play. Rulebook is fairly straightforward, very easy to understand, good examples. I think for a deduction game that's very different than things you're used to playing, it does a great job giving you in a quick, clean information. Again, Bitewing games generally have had great rulebooks with very clear and concise, easily given over information. Big fan of the rulebook so far. As far as game time can run, I'd say, generally in the 30 to 45 minute range. You could drift a little bit to the 60, but I do find this is a fast-moving game. Again, even right now, I kind of played out an entire 2-player game, granted with less thinking and with speeding the end game, but this is a quick-moving game. As far as what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, starting off with what I like, and what I like to begin with is a little biased because I do have the deluxe version over here, but I like the production value of the game overall, with the caveat on the playmats. We'll come back to those, but these gems are beautiful. The upgraded tokens you have as opposed to the base game stuff, Or punch outs are great. I don't love these. I wish there was a deluxe version for these. I'm probably going to find something. Like, these easily look like they could get lost, and in a game full of deluxe components, they're even inferior for basic cardboard. But overall, the production, the look, the feel, the art looks great. All those things are just generally solid production. The deduction game. It is a fun deduction game if you like that process of elimination with a degree of inference as well, because you are going to be getting information that is certain. I know a gem is here. I know a curse is here. But you're also going to get information about, like, okay, great, I don't know a gem is here for sure, but I know there's no curses. Like, you saw me do that over here. There were no more curses on the bottom row. I was able to predict that these 3 were completely safe. I knew there's a curse here. I didn't know 2 of the curses, but I knew none of them pointed here. That kind of extra step inferred information is very present in this game, and it gives you a degree of actually just writing down and checking things off, but also being able to go with some degree of stats or knowledge that is not as straight as here's a piece of information you know, rather it's gathering other pieces of information you know and putting things together. And when you combine that with the area control puzzle of bumping people out, this is an interesting game because it's not pure deduction, it's deduction with area control. It also has surprising windfalls or surprising curses, which they do potentially take away from the strategy of the game a bit. You can play a very great game but not have information about one card, and it just works out to be that 1 in 4 chance that boots a bunch of your players off. I find this a fast enough moving game that I appreciate those moments. I was like, I can't believe that happened. Like, even right here where we have, like, 36 points worth of gems. The game even gives you special deluxified gems when you have a 36er, but then having them be completely evenly divided because of this curse over here, like, those kinds of moments are just fun little things that happen in the game. And I like that additional aspect of pushing players out, the inferred information. I like the additional action cards that give you more to think about or consider in the game. So once you get that base game pattern down, you can start moving to those additional action cards that give you a bit more things to work with in the game. I like the fact that the game works well at a variety of player counts. The fact that it has this scaling over here, I do prefer it more at higher player counts, but even a 2-player game, because of the built-in blocker, so to speak, still gives you a reason to think about where you want to go, especially with those central cards, especially as you start to realize certain areas are blocked off. I also like the fact that you are looking at other players' actions, where they're going, or more so where they're avoiding. If I know that there's a certain curse card that's one of these 2, and I know that you've looked at those cards, if I know that you've looked at even this card alone, and I also notice that you're not really going in this area, that gives me a lot of information, being able to infer, okay, I know you probably saw a curse card, I know you're not going here, I know this is one of the areas the curse card could be pointing at, there's a decent chance that that's information that I have now. And again, it's not always guarantees. There's guaranteed information, there's inferred information, and then there's suspect information based on the other player's behaviors, and all of those combine nicely in a game that, again, has a very reasonable time frame, a lot of fun to play, and a lot of things to consider as you go through it. Things I don't like in the game, there's not a ton I don't like in the game. I'd say that the 2-player experience is a little bit stale. It works mostly well player counts, but I think that 3 or 4 players, you have a lot more dynamicness to the way players are going to go. 2 players balances nicely with these inner rows, but again, it's a little static, so it's a little bit more structured as far as where that additional block comes in. Like I said already, I've mentioned the playmats already. I don't love the playmats in the deluxe version of the game. The way they're structured, you can't really shove them together because they won't, like, collapse. Now you have to, like, have things on them. Like, if you move these together, placing stuff in the middle is a little bit of a pain. So, I mean, I like the fact that they fit in the box. That's always a good thing. But I would say I definitely prefer this game. The playmats themselves, I almost wish it was a larger playmat, but then it wouldn't fit in the box. I still find myself using them, but I'm like almost irritated by them, even as I simultaneously appreciate them, which is a weird complaint to go with. But not a ton of things I don't like. Just the only thing I would say is, I mean, I guess I said it already. And things I liked, things I don't like, there's not a ton more to go on. As far as I can see others not liking, I kind of touched upon this. There's definite luck in terms of what you can find, both in terms of the cards you find. So, you might immediately find one of the curse cards, and I find curse cards are so much better at information giving than where a gem is. Knowing where to avoid is so much more important than knowing where to go, at least in my opinion, especially early game. So if you happen to find a curse card early game as your first play, that gives you a lot of information as opposed to a player who spends 3-4 turns finding one. So it is what it is, but there is that luck, and there's also the luck of, trying to play into the odds and then having things revealed, and it turns out there's a curse card in a place that removes 6 of your troops, or 6 of your investigators or whatnot. So it does have that aspect. Lastly, I will note that you are writing down your notes as you go in this book, and there's a lot of pages in here to go through. You'd have to play this game a lot, and there's 5 of these, I think. Did I say it's a 2 to 4 player game? It's a 2 to 5 player game. I think I said it's 2 to 4 players. It's a 2 to 5 player game. There's 5 of these books in the game, and so there's a lot of playability in my opinion, but strictly speaking, there is a limited number of plays until you start having to print your own for your own notes, which again doesn't bother me. I find this is the kind of game I can't imagine I'll go through this all entirely. I am holding on to and keeping this game for right now, but I can't imagine I'll ever need to go through all these. But it is that limitation for those of you who do play your favorite games in absolute tons, so just take that into account. As far as final thoughts on Spectral, I really like this one. It's a solid deduction game. It's quick to play. It's easy to table. There's enough things going on different about it, between the area control, between the inferred information, all the way this structures out. There's a bunch of deduction games out there. Some for me are not as great as the others, and others are really great, but then it's a question of how do you stand out? What are you doing that's different? For me, Spectral's main draw is the easy to learn, quick to play, and the additional element of area control mixed into deduction that all works very nicely. For me, this is a 4 out of 5. Really enjoying this one. Looking forward to diving into it more, and I haven't even tried the mini expansion yet, so I plan to do that next and see how that plays out. Anyways, as far as other game recommendations, first of all, something similar but with more of a cooperative vibe is going to be Paint the Roses. I found the information tracking kind of similar to what's happening in Paint the Roses, a little different as far as the general puzzle, but if you do like deduction and you want something in the cooperative vein, I recommend checking that out. And if you want something that feels a little similar in the co-op and the competitive space, I find Cryptid is a great game to check out. Cryptid is it's one that I still enjoy playing. I don't have it in my collection, but I have played it a bunch, and I really have a lot of fun with it. But it involves trying to track where a specific cryptid is on the map. First player to get there goes, and again, it has that aspect of taking an action, try to find things, inferring from other players' information. Some similar thought process will be at play, while the rest of the game will also be very different. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.